All righty. I'll just wait till some people come back on. We're going to talk about um, the history of the 10 Little Indian Boys, since somebody wants to mention some mention about the Indian boys. Um, did they really know about the real history? All right, let me get this up here on the screen. Um, got two different ones here. First one I want to read is this one. Now, the early sports and pop culture history blog. Okay. So one little, two little, three little Indian, counting down to the history of 10 little Indians. Well, in the simplest, most familiar form of the song, the 10 little Indians appear to be innocent children counting song. But yet there are some who worry that the song was derived from an earlier Parnatic version of the song, which 10 little boys, Indians, or Black African, um, disappeared or died off one time uh, in 10 little ridiculous McBride way, but most people have the timeline confused. The familiar, simple, innocent version is not derived from the problematic version pigeons. It's the other way around. The simple version predated the problematic version by the early 2 decades. So the Gibson family singer published the original sheet back in 1849. The lyric and music nearly identity to the familiar children's song sung today. One, one little, two little, three little engines. Four little, five, six little engines. Seven little, eight little, nine little engines. 10 little engine boys. So that was the original thing back in 1849. Now, cinematically, the winner wrote the original Palmer version, Engine Boys, at the neighborhood's children's party in about 1864. It published a sheet for the song for the first few months of 1868. Later, an English songwriter named Frank Green adopted the winter melody lyrics to the African Boys. The song was introduced on the stage 1868 at St. James Hall, London, by George Washington Pony Moore of the Christie Minstrels. Now, the winter version differed from significant ways from the original, whereas the Gibson family version is limited to simple counting up and down. The winter version has 10 verses and counting courses between each verses. Now, the courses is similar to the original, but with only two counting segments, 1 through 5 and 6 through 10, instead of the traditional 1 through 3, 2 through 6, 7 through 9, and 10. He changed the melody to 1 little, 2 little, 3 little, 4 little, 5 little engine boys, and then 6 little, 7 so on. Engine boys. Now, Mark Mason, one of the winners, 10 Little Engine Philadelphia winners and company, 1868. So winners 10 verses were completely a new addition to the song. The first 9 verses describe a disappearance of a or death of one boy at a time, reducing the number to 1. In the 10th verse, the last boy gets married and raises 10 more boys, bringing the number back up to 10. But the verses in the new, but not without, uh, predicted they appeared to be based on a song, 10 Little Blackbirds, from the children's book published in 1858. Now, the winter song borrow the countdown disappearance format, even borrow several rhyming word pairs, exactly 9 little blackbirds sitting on a gate, one flew away, and there were 8. 8 little blackbirds flying to heaven, one flew away, and then there were 7. So the children holiday of the storybook for the whole year 1858. So 9 little engines swing on the gate, one tumble off, and there were 8. And then 8 engine never heard of heaven. One kicked the bucket, and then there were 7. So long. So the version of Gibson Vision was also based on earlier materials. It appeared to be elaboration of traditional English nursery rhyme, but Tom Brown had 2 little Indians, which appear to print in early 1810. The 2 Indians in the nursery rhyme disappeared, but not cruel or unusual ways. They were portrayed an independent actor leaving on their own accord in their own self-interest. Now, Tom Brown, 2 little Indian boys, 2 6, 1 ran away, other would not stay. Tom Brown's 2 little Indian boys. So, if anything, this modern day children's song is based on more or less a positive portrayal of 2 independent boys seeking their own freedom, and not on the later problematic racist version of the song. The pressure to 10 Little Blackbirds, also similarly with Tom Brown's 2 Little Indian Boys, they were 2 and they were leaving independent. So there was 2 blackbirds sat on a stone, one flew away and one, then there were 1. The other flew after, and then there was none. Monthly Mirror in London, Volume 2, August 1798, page 258. There is more to the story. There is indication that there may have been more exclusive counting versions before Gibson's family 1849 version. Their sheet music even say that it was arranged by, not written by them. A few problematic versions appeared as early as 1859, mostly connecting to criticism to African Americans. John Brown apparently influenced by similar of his name to Tom Brown in traditional English nursery rhyme. Those versions, however, appeared to be one-off political commentary without 10 disappearing verses, and like unrelated winter songs of the decade later. Most of the commentary about the origin of the 10 Little Indians or the 10 Little Africans reflected on the lack of awareness of the traditional problematic version comes first, giving rise to discomfort singing an otherwise innocent version of the song supposedly based on the racist song. But the original version was more or less innocent, problematic version merely less abrasion, which has since been largely abandoned, perhaps returned to the original should be welcome to discourage you to be the judge. Now, traditional English nursery rhyme, Tom Brown, 2 Little Indian Boys, to go on. This rhyme appeared in the collection Traditional Nursery Rhyme as early as 1810, suggesting it may be dating back to 1700s or early given English presence in India. The West Indies in North America at that time, it is not clear which ethnic group the Indian Boys of nursery rhyme belongs to. Like Tom Brown's 2 Little Indian Boys, etc. One ran away, the other would not stay. Tom Brown's 2 Little Indian Boys, Old Mother Hubbard, she went to the cupboard to fetch poor dog a bone. When she came, the cupboard was bare, and as so poor dog had none. So it's around that time when that came out. So 2 Little Indian Boys and the rhyming prefigured Little Indians of the later song disappeared in original 2 Little Indian Boys may be expression inspired to be successful disappearance in some later version of the song, although in the first line suggests possible additional sequence, verse, and success number of boys. All of the early examples of the song I have seen are limited to one verse with two boys without any traditional verses or signal suggesting additional. These verses appeared in the print in 1833 in the United States in the collection of Mother Goose Melodies. Now, in 1842, the collection's early English poetry, popular literature, middle age, in collection of nursery rhyme in England. So all these became in Mother Goose's Melodies. It has been changed so many times. And let me get to this one. Hey, Mustang, Jason. Let me get to this other one. And I'll show you this other one. All right, it's this one, right? Yeah. So this is the real song, Mr. Song writer, which the 10 Little Indians is American children counting out rhyme. It was folk song index database, around 250,000 reference, nearly 25,000 songs collected from oral tradition and English language from all over the world. Steve Rudd Index as combination sites. The number of this is 12,976. In 1868, songwriters, this is this that Carry Me Back to Tennessee, who wrote that song. 19th century, he used his own name in Alice Hawthorne, Percy Gary, Mark Mason, Epistle Street, and Paul Strayton. So, but this is the real song. It's based on the real original song, the modern song for the children of that African American song they put together. The 10 Little Indians standing in a line, one taller home, and then there were 9. 9 little Indians swinging on the gate. One tumble off, and then there were 8. 8 little Indian guidest under heaven. One went to sleep, and then there were 7. 7 little Indians cutting up their tricks, or one breaks his neck, and then there were 6. Now 6 little Indian all alive. One kicks the bucket, and then there were 5. 5 little Indians on the cellar door. One tumble in, and then there were 4. 4 little Indians up on spree. One got fuddle, I think it is. And then there were 3 little Indians out on a canoe. One tumbled overboard. Then there were 2. The 2 little Indians fooling around with a gun. One shot the other. Then there was 1 little Indian living all alone. He got married, and then there were none. So that was the original Little Indian song. There's the real. So basically, generally, the thought of this song was adopted from Frank J. Green in 1869. Now, 10 little Africans, though it was possible that influence was the other way around, the 10 little Africans being close reflection of the text that became 10 little Indians. Either way, the 10 little Africans became standard of the African show. It was sung by Christy Minstrel and became widely known in Europe, where it was used. Agatha Christie, in her 1939 novel of the same name about 10 killing on the remote island. Novel was later retitled And There Were None for an American edition, although the original remains and the UK population, but 1985 it remains of one of the most famous work. The Spanish and Russian title Christie's novel today are still does African, and the German children's song with a different melody, Zing African. I'm not going to say that stuff. So criticizing of racist language here, um, because of the changing the civil over the words used, modern version for the children often use aeroplanes, soldier boys, teddy bears, and other subject in the rhyme among others. On alter replication 2007 of the 1922 Iceland version, 10 Little African caused considerable debate in the country, with a strong division between those who saw the book as a racist and those who saw it as part of funny and silly stories created in the past. Now, Christie's assessment of the debate, she stated, some of the discussion focusing on the publishing of the 10 Little Africans can be seen Colonel stylistic in sense that they bring images of more simple time when such image were not subject to as such. Those public uh, discourse seek separate, isolate, identifying the past issues of race and prejudice, contexting the publication of the nursery rhyme in 1922. So within the European North American context shows, however, the book fit very well with European discourse of race. The image shows similarity to the black African people in the United States. So the 10 Little Indian Boys was from this book in earlier uh, vision. So a 1945 version of the 10 Little African Boys. Here's what it said: the 10 little Indian boys went out to dine. One choked. His little self, and then there were nine little Indian boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were eight little Indian boys traveling to Devon. One said he stayed there, and there were seven little Indian boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in half, and then there were six Indian boys playing in a hive. A bumblebee stung one of them, and then there were five little Indian boys going for law. One got in Chauncey, and then there were four. Now, four little Indian boys going to sea. A red herring swallowed one of them. There were three. Now, three little boys walking into the zoo. A bear hugged one of them, and there were two. Two little Indian boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was one. And the one little Indian boy left alone. He went and hanged himself. And then there were none. So those who is talking about people, little Indian boys, well, that's the real story. So, hey Louise, how you doing? I haven't seen you for a while. What's the name of the book again? I'm not saying the name of the book. You can see right here. This is the name of the book. The original book. So you have to go back to, like I said, there was 1700. Went clear back to 1700, Jason. So that's how some of this got mixed up. So 10 Little Engines. But originally it started from this book here, 1869, and whatever 1922 changed. So if you look for the 10 Little African, this is what the book looks like, Jason. hold on. I think I turned. Here, hold on. I'll show you. This is the book, Jason. Jason, this is the book right here. It's been several stories about this book. The songs changed. Like I said, one said it was early 1700s. There was one in 1700s. Way back when. So you pretty much have to go back when, like they said, 1700s, 1769 or something like that. Was the original start. Yeah, August 1796. So that's how it got started. So August 1796, and then changed over the different centuries. So yeah, 1796, page 250, volume 2, Monthly Mirror in London. So yep, that's it. So those people who are trying to sing the Little Indian Boys, you better want to think about singing that song, because you're talking about African Americans. What is the true story behind that Little Indian song? So, well, hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys all later. Thanks for coming, Louise, Mustang, Jason, whoever else. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.